Hey, it's your gamer friend Peadee. We are back in Random Acts of Crafting, the multiplayer server. I been doing a little bit of changes, kind of straightening up. I took all my cows out of here. I'm probably going to take my horse barn out of here too, because can you imagine what that makes my house smell like? I put a stairwell down here, so I still need to put a row of glass here, preferably ice blocks, but I still don't have a silk touch. Not that I've really been trying to make it, but I barely started to organize this. It's still a giant mess. I don't even know where stuff is. I have to open like every chest basically. I moved all the cows over here. Like I said last episode, I was working on this. It didn't take that long. I just cleared it out a little bit. I still could do some more chopping, but I'll be honest, I really don't feel like doing any construction right now. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to put this miscellaneous crap away out of my inventory, and then we're going to go into the ravine where we found the spider spawner, and we're just going to light up the rest of that area, and and gather some resources, and we'll just talk for a while, if you don't mind. I was thinking about different stuff I did when I was younger, and I was just wondering, like when you're young, 13, 14, you don't think about like the consequences of your actions, and like how dangerous something might be or whatever, you know what I mean? Because you're not thinking about it, So this is a little story about my dad used to work in Saudi Arabia pre Gulf War and stuff like that, and I lived there. And one summer we had like a summer camp deal. Do I have enough torches? No, I don't even have enough torches. Sorry. One summer for summer camp, we lived in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, which is where there's nothing beautiful. It's just desert and the Arabian Gulf and stuff like that, or Persian Gulf. See, oh, coal. See, coal right there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Oh, let's just do like this. 25. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just make a full stack of torches. Anyway, we had like a summer activity field trip. I don't know how else to describe it. Basically, the oil company my dad worked for had operations all over the country, and basically, so the kids wouldn't be bored or whatever, they I'm just gonna put, I don't have any, I've got this, I was gonna say I don't have any food, but I don't need steak especially. So they took us to the west part of Saudi Arabia, and it's the Red Sea, which you've heard about. It's like a famous place for sea life and whatever, and it's all it's got coral reefs and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and it's very beautiful. So we were out there and just kind of being kids, and I had just taken like a scuba diving class that like a few months prior or something like that, or maybe as part of the same summer activities, I can't remember. But I taken like a basic scuba diving class and got certified and all that kind of stuff. And we were I had a mask and a snorkel, but I didn't have any scuba tank or anything. Obviously, we weren't really prepared for that, but I brought it anyway. And basically, we just went to like where there was beach. It wasn't a beach like you think of like in the States, where there's like lifeguards and other people and stuff like that. It was just a stretch of beach, and completely devoid of amenities. It took us like an hour and a half to get there. It was like the country, you know what I mean? But the beach, I mean, there were no houses, there was nothing. It was like an hour away from anything. And I'm gonna get this iron. It's right here. So we were. So I started skin diving, and you know, it gets pretty, well, snorkeling. I don't know. Can't remember the difference between skin diving and snorkeling, but it's probably the same thing. But whatever. So of course I quickly get bored, you know, being right in the water, but just like 40 or 50 feet out, it was a coral reef, and basically the water was only like 2 feet deep at most, like all the way to a certain edge, and then it just dropped off to like 30 or 40 feet, and there was all kinds of sea life, you know, fish and corals and crabs and stuff like that. And I noticed a moray eel like sticking his head out, or well, I assume it was a moray eel, you know, some sort of eel-y kind of thing. And I had seen some movie where oh crap, okay, well now we're down. YOLO. I had seen some movie where like an actress like gets her head bitten, or maybe it was like a bad guy or something, gets like attacked by a moray eel, and like so I don't know, so somehow, and these things were about, like, they weren't that big, they were like the size of my 13-year-old fist, you know, so like they were, you know, they were not gigantic by any stretch of the imagination. They were probably like the size of a small orange or something, you know what I mean, like their heads, so maybe like 2 or 3 feet long. You know, of course I didn't take them out of their holes, so I couldn't tell you for sure. But there were these giant clams, and so I thought, oh, you know, I'll feed these eels, because I want to see, you know, I want to see them come out of their hole or whatever, right? And I'm gonna eat this steak so we don't have this inventory used up. So I dive down like 20-30 feet, and I have like a Swiss Army knife, and so I end up, you know, jabbing into one of the poor giant clams. I mean, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, when I say giant, I mean, or maybe it was an oyster, I don't know, but they were big. They were like a foot across or something. I mean, they were very big, you know. So I like jab into one of them, and then I have to go up for breath, and so I keep on jabbing at it until I rip out a hunk of meat like the size of like a chicken breast or something, right? So then I'm holding this chunk of meat, and you know, and I'm starting to divvy it up into small pieces, and there's all kinds of crazy marine life swimming all around me. You know, it's really cool. There's like all these bright colored fishes, and you know, and whatever, and you know, like crabs are coming out or whatever. You know, it's just like, it's really cool. You know, and I, you know, and I don't know remember how long I held my breath. Probably like a minute, 45 seconds, a minute and a half, whatever. You know what I mean? And so I would hold my breath, and I would go down there and stay down there for a bit, feed them, and then swim up with the piece of meat, you know, and eventually I used up all that piece of meat. So then I go back up or go back down to the clam that I had mutilated, and grab some more, and I'm like feeding it, and there's like literally like 100 fish swimming all around. It's getting really kind of crazy, right? So, and it's really cool, and I fed the moray eel, and it like jabbed its head out, and you know, and you know, and ate it, and I thought that was pretty cool, right? So I'm having this like a really interesting time, you know, and I kept on going out, and then I keep on feeding them, and all of a sudden something like brushes my ankle, and I look down, and it's like a 3-foot shark, and it had swum between my legs, and like it like swished my leg or whatever when it went by, and And I was like, huh, and I didn't, it was like only 3 feet long or whatever. Well, it was probably 2.5 feet long. It was pretty young, So I was like, oh wow, that's crazy, right? So I go up to get some more air. I come back down, and there's 7 sharks there, and there were a lot bigger ones. There were at least 2 or 3 that were 2 or 3 times as big as that one. And so I had to get out of the water and then tell everyone there were sharks in the water, and so we had to leave the beach. But point being that, like, the adult me was like, yeah, well, of course, it's the sea, you know what I mean? Of course there's going to be sharks on a coral reef, and if there's blood in the water, and I imagine clams have some sort of blood or something, and all that activity, and then stupid Peadee is swimming up and down, basically splashing in the water because I have to get up for breath every few seconds. So, every few minutes, we'll say. Yeah. So, I mean, I could have very easily. I mean, it could have been an 8-foot shark that brushed my leg, or bit my leg, So I guess I was pretty lucky that nothing worse happened, but that just stands out as one of the like stupider things that I ever did in my life. But I was just wondering if you guys had. I mean, I know a lot of you guys are probably still in high school or maybe even junior high or whatever, so maybe you haven't done a lot of stupid things in your life. But I'm out of college. I'm graduated years ago now, so. So I still, I have the benefit of reflection, and you know what I mean. You don't. It's like when you're younger, you don't like think things through. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. You have more enthusiasm than common sense. And so I don't know. I just I almost got eaten by sharks. Anyway, but what else can I? What else can I talk about? Well, I lived in Mexico for a while, and that was a pretty crazy experience. I lived in central Mexico in like a really nice part of Mexico that like is real popular with tourists and things like that. And then I lived in a border town in Mexico, and that was just a whole different experience. And I'll probably talk about living in the border town in Mexico sometime because it can be pretty rough. It can be pretty dangerous. It can be pretty crazy. I saw a lot of messed up stuff when I lived there, but I'll just tell you one quick story that's safe for work, proverbially safe for all ages, and this is just a quick story, just to give you an idea. I'm a pretty careful driver, and like I'm not a speeder and things like that, and so one time I was driving down this avenue that is next to a park, and it has. Well, they had problems with cars like driving up on the sidewalk and things like that. So they put like 2.5-foot sidewalks to prevent cars, to protect kids from like, a driver, because it was like a pretty busy avenue. So people drove on it much faster than they should have, but pretty fast anyway. So they kind of put higher sidewalks on it to sort of make a barrier, so like kids being on the swing or whatever wouldn't get run over by a drunk driver or something. And so the only reason I bring this up is because I'm driving at like 30 miles an hour or whatever the posted speed limit is, and this guy shows up and he's right on my butt, and he like, where I was probably, I don't know, like 500 feet from the stoplight, and it was green, but it had been green for a long time, so I knew it was about to stop being green. So I wasn't you know, I wasn't in a rush. I knew I wasn't going to make it anyway. So I just kept on going 30 miles an hour. And this guy saw it was green, so I guess he decided to gun it because a lot of times... Well, here's one of the problems in the border town. Like, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of, like, bureaucratic corruption. And it really bites them on the butt sometimes because, like, in order to get a driver's license, like, you have to take an exam, right? But if you pay them like $10 or $20, they'll just give you an exam with all the answers marked on it already. So a lot of people don't even, and I'm not trying to generalize or whatever, but the kind of people who pay to pass the driver's exam rather than take the exam, like, in general, really don't know the rules of the road, and they don't have any of the driver training that, you know, that like most states require in the US nowadays, you know. So they have no idea, like, I don't know how to say it without generalizing too much, but it's like the more you drive, the better you get at, like, estimating, like, okay, if this car is going this fast towards me, it's going to take 4 seconds before or 40 seconds before it will be at a point where it would hit me if I cross over into its lane in order to get to a different, you know, to go the other direction or whatever, you know. So you kind of just know, oh, I have plenty of time. But a lot of times you'll see accidents from inexperienced drivers who just drive imprudently, that are recklessly, and they're basically like, they just gun it in front of an oncoming car that's going 50 miles an hour, thinking they can make it, and then they end up in a, you know, a T-bone or a head-on collision or something because of course anyone with a bit of experience driving and common sense would say, oh, that car is going 1,000,000 miles an hour towards me, and it's going to take my car, you know, 15 seconds to merge with this lane. I'm getting way off the topic. Okay, I'm just going to tell this story. So I'm driving, and this guy's behind me, and he decides to gun it to get to the light. So he whips into the right lane to pass me, and then he whips around the left lane. Like, he basically just, like, passes me on the right, which kids don't ever pass people on the right. It's super dangerous. So, but he was, you know, doing the whole slouch driver thing and everything, and he whips back into the lane in front of me, and just literally like 10 or 12 feet from the front of my car, by the way, and he loses control of his car, and he ends up hitting the raised sidewalk, which is the reason why I brought that up. He hits the raised sidewalk full on, jumps the sidewalk, runs into a light pole which bends over and then acts like a ramp and flips the car upside down. At this point, like 25 feet in front of me. And so of course I stop, you know, because this guy had to, you know, his car is literally roof down in front of me, and his front wheel has snapped off the axle because he hit that raised sidewalk so hard. Which is a good thing that it was a raised sidewalk, because otherwise he would have just run right through the playground probably. And he you know, of course he's not wearing a seatbelt because a lot of people don't like wearing seatbelts, and it's very lightly enforced, the seatbelt laws. Oh, this is a really deep ravine. Look at that. Oh, maybe I've already been here before. I guess I have. And So he got some sort of impact, and he was like thrown upside down in the car, because it was belly up basically. And so he gets out of the car, and he sits on the corner for a minute and kind of shakes himself off, and then he just runs away, because he didn't want to pay the fines or whatever for having the car having the car wreck, and pay for the city light post and whatever. And the problem is, in the border towns especially, there's so many cars, like used cars from the US, that there is no like vehicle registration like we would have here. It had like US plates on it, or maybe just dealer tags, but it's not registered in Mexico, and it's been sold in the US, so there's really no way to know who it belongs to. So this guy just like ditches this car completely, which is probably totaled it anyway. I mean, it was a used, moderately nice used car, and it had a phone number written on the back for sale. So it was like this guy that would, I guess assume he would buy cars, or his boss or whatever would buy cars in the States, salvage titles. A lot of times they'll do, and then they resell them in Mexico as used cars. And so he took off his shirt, and he wiped off the phone number before he left. And yeah, it was even in the paper that they didn't know what the wreck was, but I had witnessed the whole thing. But I didn't wait for the police, because I mean, whatever, I mean, wasn't my I had somewhere to go, I was going the speed limit, so I just slowly drove around him and kept on going my way. So yeah, that's just kind of you see that kind of stuff all the time in Mexico. That's why I always joke that I wish that like Russian dash cams were a thing when I lived in Mexico, because man, I would have some dash cam footage that would rival anything you see in Russia. Let's see. I think we're gonna call this an episode pretty much. I just gonna look around a little bit more. I wonder where the zombie was that we heard. I don't know, it's hard to tell, right? It's a lot of iron though. We need this iron. Well, I need everything. I haven't started branch mining yet or anything. I hear a skeleton too. Or is that squids? I know sometimes it's hard to tell between squids squishing on sand and skeletons if they're far away. Yeah, I've got another episode in my solo LP where I talk about dating a stripper, or going on a date with it. That's definitely a skeleton. A friend of mine was getting married and had a bachelor party. We ended up in a strip club, and I met a stripper, and then we went on a date on New Year's Eve, and it was probably one of the most surreal experiences of my life. I'll put a link in an annotation right now, so you can look it up and listen to the story. I'm not going to repeat it, but I would really appreciate it if you could tell me some of the stupid things, and if you're still, not out of high school or something like that, if you're still not out of college, you may not have any really crazy stories to tell, so it's okay, don't worry about it, but learn from my mistake. Don't snorkel and feed wild sea life in an untamed, dangerous coral reef in a remote area where there's no star flight, no helicopter ambulance coming to rescue you, and you probably would have bled out and died, Oh, there is a skeleton. Oh, he's all dolled up. Aren't you just look like $1 million there? And he didn't even drop anything. What a jerk. Stingy. He was just waiting for me to show up there, wasn't he? This ravine is really narrow. It's really kind of odd, right? I mean, it keeps on choking off, but it's got a lot of exposed ores. That's nice, I guess. And it's really close to the house. I'm using up all my pick, though. Let's see. I might as well get all this stuff. You can never have too much coal. In my solo world, I'm like catastrophically low on coal right now. I'm like scrounging for pieces of charcoal as we speak. Wow, it's a lot of coal. I'm gonna use up this whole enchanted pick. It's okay, it's just a level 1, isn't it? Yeah. Efficiency 1. Anything that helps the pick stay alive a little bit longer is good, right? Efficiency does mean that you takes less time to harvest stuff, so can I get out here? I think I can. Oh yeah, I remember. I have to go here and then I go across. Yep. This is how I got out last time. I swear I heard a skeleton. Maybe it's just all this other animal noise. Okay, guys. Sorry nothing exciting happened. We did meet that guy with the enchanted leather outfit there. But, we'll see you next time. Peadee out. Thanks for listening. Oh dear. I was just going to use my hatchet to wave and I mashed it right across the... Well, that stuff will grow back. I'll just put a torch here, or rather a block here, so that it doesn't turn into a problem. Here, we'll just use cobble. Dink, dink. For some reason the mobs can't figure out how to get past vines. Anyway, that's all. See you later. Peadee out.